Nick McBride is the member for Mackillop. How are you, Nick?
Hello, Ricky. Well, thank you.
Now, we're just catching you. You were on the road on your way to Tailem Bend, I gather?
Yes, that's correct. Keith at the moment calling through and moving on the way to catch up with constituents all the way up to Tailem Bend today and staying there tonight. And actually, a little bit interesting, we're catching up with the Premier tomorrow, so that's going to be interesting right through the line, through Mackillop tomorrow down onto Narracourt and Panola.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll find out a bit more about that shortly, but you're travelling outside the electorate by the end of your trip today, and we caught up with Adrian Pederick, who's the member for Hammond. He's now going to be one of your voters, and I'm pleased to let you know he's going to vote for you.
Well, that is lovely to hear. I was hoping you would, because he's one of my constituents now. And yes, I'm travelling out of my old electorate, but Ricky, by March 19, this month now, Tailem Bend will be part of Mackillop as we're extending all the way up through all the Coorong Council and the Southern Mallee now. So we've got a little bit more new territory to cover, which was the old electorate of Hammond.
That's right. Now, look, on your drive, we're going to be testing out the mobile black spots along the journey. We'll see how we go, but you've been able to clear one up at Kalira.
Yeah, so Kalira the other day we had the opening of the tower there with Minister Basham and also the Mayor from Kingston Council, Kay Rashid, and obviously the CEO and other councillors, but it was a good little opening there of the Telstra Tower at Kalira, where we've obviously wanted a tower there for a number of years. It's a massive black spot on Rowney Road between Kingston and Bordertown Keith directions, and the fact that we had a major blaze there in 2019, and one of the pitfalls of when we have these fires, and don't get me wrong, it doesn't really say we should have a phone every time we have a fire, but every time we have no communications, as well as these emergency type fire events, it really does highlight the lack of communication around our regional South Australia if it's missing. So look, it was a really, really good position for a tower, an opening for a tower. There's a collaboration there, Ricky, where Optus and Telstra are working together now, and Optus will move their infrastructure onto this tower as well. And so we'll have both networks at Kalira in the near future, hopefully covering the region as well as it can, with other towers from Optus further south towards Avenue and Legs Lane, which is obviously they were strongly advocated by the federal government in a rollout about a year ago. So look, it's really good for these areas where they have no communications, Ricky, and filling in these black spots.
It does seem, I see something recently from Telstra and TPG. They're going to piggyback on each other's infrastructure. They hope the ACCC will give them the tick of approval on that on competition grounds, because we are seeing this move towards considering this mobile towers in regional areas as essential infrastructure for things like natural disasters rather than sort of a primarily commercial installation.
No, that is correct. And what we do know here, Ricky, is that the telcos have probably put towers by themselves in the most economical positions that they would make a return on. And as they're filling in these black spots, there's no doubt there's been a preference to fill in, the most lucrative and economical black spots to fill in. And then as we fill those in, knowing that there's around 300 or 400 black spots around South Australia, when we came to government in 2018, and I think we've filled in around 60 of them thus far, they're obviously going to get harder and harder to fill in with a commercial return. And that's, I think, where governments and collaboration of both or all the telcos is going to play an important role of making sure that these towers continue to roll out, because they're going to become less viable on an economical basis for the continual rollout of these towers in the black spots.
Well, I guess part of the importance there, as well as the state government wants to get return on its investment in something like Misonet, which is expanding into your electorate. So farmers can access that wherever they are with mobile signal. That's going to be a great help and return on investment for state government.
Yeah, look, so what this is involving is there's going to be 43 of these automatic weather stations around McLaren Vale, Langlorn Creek and the Limestone Coast. And what I've just mentioned is that there are three major wine growing regions with premium wines. And what these 43 automatic weather stations really do provide is a regional basis for landowners to have the best information about the best weather conditions to spray. So we try to eliminate and remove the risk of spray drift and the effect that it can have on the wine industry. So, look, this is a really good rollout. Congratulations to the Mackillop Farm Management Group. They've applied and successfully got the grant and the application of $2 million for the Limestone Coast for these weather stations to roll out. And I know that the farmers will, one of the things that farmers do not like is obviously wasting funds, and they want the best information out there about the weather conditions that are either then at the moment or perhaps coming, so that they actually don't waste their time and they get the best bang for their dollar with this spray, and there's no other consequences to other sectors of our agriculture industry like the vineyards and vignerons and wine with spray drift and what the 2,4-D type of chemicals can cause.
Yeah, we have been speaking with the state government and the opposition about expanding Misonet, and there was a rumour that it was going to come into the Limestone Coast. The Barossa people want it as well, but it's been successful in the mid-north Mallee and parts of the Riverland, I believe.
Yeah, it has already been rolled out in those areas, as my understanding. I'm not sure about the Barossa. You're right there. I know I've unheard that it's already in the Riverland and other parts of the cropping regions like York Peninsula and so forth, but I don't know about the Barossa. But the three regions we've just mentioned with these 43, it'll be well and truly welcomed as the premium wine areas, and to remove this risk or at least lessen the chance of occurring because of better information will be a good and positive rollout for their sectors.
Now, shifting across to the topic of health, the state government, your government, made an announcement about several metropolitan hospitals getting some funding committed to them, and we asked them, well, what about Keith and Narracourt hospitals? They said, just wait and see. Anything you can tell us about whether you're going to match or go further than what Labor's promising for those hospitals?
Yeah, first of all, I was, on the radio and in the media saying, I welcomed the announcement by the Labor Party recognising the Limestone Coast and its health needs and rolling out, I think, around a $50 million announcement about 4 weeks ago. Look, and the other thing with that is I was hoping and wanted our government to obviously recognise that there is a priority there by the opposition, basically, and hopefully we can match these sort of priorities. The other thing with that is we've also got our own plans of what's going on, and we know that in the last 4 years at Narracourt, we've spent $2 million, or at least a couple of $1 million on the ED and waiting or recovery rooms and the sterilisation rooms at the Narracourt Hospital, and there's more to do there as well. Plus, also, we've got a new community health hub proposed and going in the gist of being built at Bordertown. So the whole community health building there is going to be, I think, removed and rebuilt there at Bordertown. So that will be a major upgrade. And then coming back to the Keith Hospital, that has been a nemesis for a number of years. We've got a project officer involved in that, looking and an extra, I think it's $1 million being given to Keith to actually roll this project officer, go out to community consultation on what sort of health model would suit that Keith Hospital and last, the course of time into the future. In other words, something that's not short-lived and is sustainable, and actually then will provide a health service. Look, and what it is up to right now at the moment, Ricky, is it's looking at a model that involves the paramedics, a tier 3 nurse, which means that she's able to administer medication, and some sort of collaboration between the aged care and a health network or a health hub at Keith. One of the things that looks perhaps is a little concerning, and I hope this is still accepted by the community, there will be no acute beds in that model at this stage. It doesn't mean there'll never be, but they're in what they're discussing at the moment, they're not obviously considering the acute beds because of what that actually involves and the cost of it and whether they'd be used or needed. So we'll have to look and see how that works, but I do know that we've got this $1.5 million that we've rolled out, which lasts right through to the end of 2022, and then we'll have to find a new model then after that and what that looks like. But we're basically going out into consultation to see what the community think of this. And the other thing just to note is that we have a Keith Hospital Board. I know that the Keith Hospital Board have got on board with this project officer and the new model, and they're basically now waiting to hear how the community will accept this as well.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm operating from memory here what Labor has promised, but I thought it was $9 million over 7 years, something of that magnitude that your parliamentary colleague, sometime Liberal Fraser Ellis from the Narungga electorate has jumped on with the Ardrossan Hospital and said, we'd like to see that same sort of commitment for their hospital. Wouldn't it be better? You've got funding running out, what you've just described, in 9 months at the end of this year. Wouldn't a sort of multi-year promise be good for the forward planning for the hospital?
Oh, no doubt. What I would say though is, and the funds that the Labor came out and advocated $1.5 million per year for 7 years if they were re-elected this month. Look, I think that in itself would be a good rollout. What happens after the 7 years, I'm not sure. Is it a sustainable model for that hospital? Not sure. Does that $1.5 million allow it to be a public hospital? I don't know about that detail. I do know that the board and the amount of time involved in managing the hospital, and particularly it's been a private hospital for ever and a day, does not work. It is very onerous on the board. And I just welcome the fact that the Labor Party have given it consideration, recognised that what they were rolling out prior wasn't working, and the 7 years would be and could be a possible good model for it. I think there's probably two processes to consider there, Ricky, and both of them need to obviously be, let's say, accepted by the community, whoever comes to government, and then obviously allowed to work. And I'm not sure which one is best. I'm not sure how long the one with the $1.5 million from the Labor government would last, and whether it actually meets the community's requirements, because you just don't know how those funds would be expended.
Now, just still on hospitals, just the Kingston Hospital had to close for a period of time there during the COVID-19 pandemic. It was still in it, but there was a period there they had to close. I asked one of your competitors, Mark Brace, the Labor candidate. Labor doesn't have a specific promise regarding Kingston Hospital. Is there something the Liberal Party is offering for them?
So the Kingston Hospital was closed down due to a massive COVID outbreak, and really it was an extension of what happened, from memory, what happened through Christmas, New Year at Robe. They did have some COVID scares there, and staff were contaminated or basically came positive COVID, and they couldn't keep the hospital operating as they would like, and that's why it was closed. In regards to infrastructure there, we've got a project there. We're working with the Kingston Hack, where the community health centre on the southern end of the hospital, which is the oldest part of the hospital. We're looking at a major upgrade there, and it's on my wish list, and I'm working with the Hack. The Hack's got around $100,000 on nearly a $200,000 to $250,000 project of building a better car park and entrance into the community health, because it's on top of a hill. The elderly and the frail and perhaps vulnerable find it really difficult to get up to that community health for whatever the services they're seeking at community health, and we're looking to change that type of entrance. It will be quite exciting. It certainly does need an upgrade. It'll involve parking, involve some sort of cover, and that's the sort of thing we're looking at Kingston at the moment as well. So never stop trying to find the opportunities. Ricky, can't promise it, but we're actually working with the Hack. They've got some money available that's been donated to the Kingston Hospital. I want the state government to get on board and have a collaborative approach there, and I think they were quite excited. This is the SA Health were, and also the Limestone Coast Health Network through Grant King of working together there.
Now, just lastly, the Bordertown Speedway, there's some encouraging economic development happening there, and it's taken a little bit of federal or state funding to help make that possible.
Look, they haven't had any state funding at this stage. They got a little bit of funding for a $3,000 grant just recently regarding equipment for the go-kart track. But this Bordertown Speedway is having a major upgrade. It's I'd have to say, nearly $1 million upgrade with a whole new track, moving some sheds. It's going to be, I think outside of Sydney, it could be the best dirt speedway in Australia once it's finished. And look, they've already got some major federal funding. They didn't get any state funding thus far, but they're in a grassroots grant that starts or closes in March, sometime later this month. I'll be going to the minister to make sure that this is given true consideration, because it's really, really exciting. You're talking about some major international type race events. You're talking about go-karting club there that has 180 members. We know that the club is very, very vibrant, healthy economically in its ability to attract sponsorship and the membership and the events. And looking at, I think it's going to be let's say at least a regionally really great piece of infrastructure to attract not only the state type of titles but national titles there. And I'm looking really excited to getting the state government on board, because we're not there yet, but we need to be.
Well, our Flow listeners, they love their Speedway report on Thursday night here on Flow on the Sports Fix, and I'll be glad to hear that as well. Nick McBride, thanks very much for your time today, and glad we could carry signal all the way on your drive. Good work.
All the best. Thank you very much, Ricky.